It is Anime Expo weekend, and J-Novel Club has announced 7 new light novels, 7 new manga, and a new audiobook adaptation. And if you're a light novel fan, you're probably going to want to hear about all of them. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Big light novel licensing news from J-Novel Club. They just finished their panel at Anime Expo, and they announced 7 new light novel titles. 7 new manga, although a lot of them are adaptations of light novels. And finally, they announced a brand new audiobook based on one of their light novel properties. And I can almost guarantee you that a lot of you, if you're into audiobooks, will probably be excited about this title. So let's get right into it. All right, so the first title that J-Novel Club licensed is, and this one I think is like kind of a couple of years too late, honestly, but Knights in Magic by Hisago Amazake with illustrations by Kurogen. Kurata Tsubasa is not your average citizen. Sure, he's a genius programmer and software engineer, but as far as he's concerned, his most important trait is that he's a hardcore mecha nerd. So, what happens when you take that nerd and reincarnate him into a fantastic world of swords and sorcery? Well, you'd think he'd be disappointed, but this world has magical giant robots. Obviously, Tsubasa, reborn as Ernesti Echevalier, I don't know, I didn't watch the anime, you'll have to fix my pronunciation, now wants to devote his life entirely to these wondrous pieces of technology. But how exactly can young Ernie achieve his ultimate goal of getting his very own mech? Well, he'll have to rely on his imagination, uninhibited by the common sense of this new world, as well as his extreme dedication and focus. He also might just find help in the form of a rather interesting quirk. So, I don't know much of anything about this title other than it's got mecha. And I remember when the anime for this one came out, I was actually very surprised this did not get licensed, and maybe a little bit disappointed just because giant robots. There's not a lot of giant robot light novels out there, certainly not in English. I mean, we do have a couple that we've gotten over the years, but yeah, I don't know. Have any of you watched the anime of this one, or, maybe you've read the light novel, or I think there's actually a manga adaptation that got licensed. If you know about this one, what do you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Next up from J-Novel Club, they licensed Back to the Battlefield. The veteran heroes return to the fray. This is by Kiraku Kishima with illustrations by Peroshi. The century-long war with demons was finally brought to a close by 7 young heroes who slew the demon lord, routed the demon army, and ultimately led humanity to victory. The heroes then went their separate ways, and the land has been at peace for 25 long years. Until now. Alan Granger, a former hero, enjoys a quiet life as a commander in the Royal Knights, until the day he receives a report that shakes him to his core. The demon army has returned. He immediately knows what he must do: gather his old compatriots and face the demon army once again. But Alan and his friends are now all in their 40s, while the demons are more powerful than ever. Do these war veterans have what it takes to leap back onto the battlefield and save the world a second time? Now, again, know nothing about this series, but I'm somewhat legitimately, as a dude who's in his 40s, I'm somewhat legitimately, happy to see light novels being written about older characters. It could be fun. Next up we have Fiancé No More, The Forsaken Lady, The Prince, and Their Make-Believe Love. This one's written by Mari Morikawa with illustrations by Bodax. Estelle Flozeth is the sister of a countryside earl, and her newfound ability to see others' emotions through their mana has brought her nothing but trouble. Her life drastically changes one day when her childhood friend and fiancé is swept away from her by the daughter of a capitalist. Damn capitalists. Heartbroken, Estelle attends a ball and winds up meeting Prince Arcrane, a wicked man who soon finds out about her special power and decides he must have her for himself. To that end, he proposes to her and begins acting like a veritable Prince Charming, pretending he fell in love with her at first sight. A charade that might fool everyone else, but not Estelle and her perceptive powers. Yet, in spite of everything, she gradually finds herself drawn to the prince. Will their make-believe love blossom into the real thing? Find out in this reluctant Cinderella story fraught with political intrigue. And this is under their J-Novel Heart format, which is their our label, which is, I believe, their shoujo type. Pretty much anything that has to do with love and relationships pretty much finds itself under J-Novel Heart. And honestly, they've had some really good titles under J-Novel Heart. Don't get me wrong, I am not slagging on it even a little bit. Next up, we have My Magical Career at Court, living the dream after my nightmare boss fired me from the Mages Guild. This one is by Shusui Hazuki with illustrations by Nekomi. Magic is everything to Noelle. She loves it so much that she puts up with her horrible job at the Mages Guild to practice it. The hours are long, the pay is rock bottom, and the boss is a nightmare. But as long as she has magic, she can withstand the hardships. At least until the day she hears these dreaded words, "You're fired." Noelle's hometown in the outskirts of the Kingdom doesn't offer many alternatives for a career in magic, especially now that she's been blacklisted from guild work. Just when it seems like all hope is lost, Noelle's old friend Luke shows up to give her an opportunity she never could have imagined, a job as a royal court magician. Now, Noelle is living the dream, rubbing shoulders with the kingdom's greatest magicians and showing off her skills. She has a beautiful new workplace and a generous new boss. But how will she cope with intense entrance exams, her marriage-obsessed mother, and the rules of etiquette? What awaits Noelle in her magical new career? Next up from J-Novel Club, they've announced I Want to Escape from Princess Lessons. This is by Izumi Sawano with illustrations by Miru Yumasaki. Duchess Letitia Dorman has been betrothed to Crown Prince Clark since age 7. She was once a rambunctious and free-spirited child, but the strict education she's receiving to make her fit future princess has really put a cramp in her lifestyle. Her only hope is that the prince might someday take an interest in someone else. So, when Clark shows up to a royal ball with an unknown woman at his side, Letty is overcome with delight, presuming her dream has come true and her engagement has been broken off. She wastes no time retreating to an easygoing countryside life, but her newfound peace is cut short when the prince shows up and claims she's still his fiancée. Clark is determined to win Letty over and marry her, while Letty is determined to resist his charms and escape. Who will emerge victorious in this heart-pounding battle of wills? The next book that they announced is The Retired Demon of the Maxed Out Village. This is by Akinosuke Nishiyama with illustrations by Ta. After hearing there's a demon lurking in a village near the border, Albria, the kingdom's strongest knight, sets out to slay the monster. When she arrives in town, however, she quickly discovers that all is not as it seems. It turns out the humble town of Mont has a lesser-known nickname, the Maxed Out Village, and the mighty demon is a retired old man. Mont is also inhabited by a stew-loving demonic sword that likes to take the form of a young girl, a money-grubbing witch, and a drunken priest known as the Holy Fist. Just what are so many of the kingdom's greatest defenders doing in such a remote town? Through her encounter with the kindly old demon and the rest of the maxed-out village, Albria will learn what it truly means to be a knight. And then last up, with J-Novel Club's light novel licenses, we have 8th Loop for the win. With 7 lives worth of XP and the 3rd Princess's appraisal skill, my behemoth and I are unstoppable. Master Swordsman, Sage, Dragon Knight, Ramil can't believe his ears when the princess lists off his possible futures. Born to a lesser noble house, he's never been anything but a low-level adventurer. In fact, he's lived that life 7 times, always forming an adventuring party with his friends at age 15, and always giving his own life to save theirs 3 years later. But not this time. The 8th Loop is going to be different. After his most recent death reveals his friend's treachery, Ramil finally takes a different path that leads him to Princess Ciel, wielder of the powerful Eye of Appraisal that can judge anyone's true potential. Will her wild claims about Ramil's future come to pass? With her guidance, can he really become a great sage or a rider of dragons? Is the adorable cat-like familiar he's tamed in past lives really a mighty behemoth, the strongest of the magical beasts? And will he really be able to escape the deadly destiny that's claimed his life 7 times already? Now, for all of these light novels, you can actually go to J-Novel Club's website right now and read parts 1 and 2 of all of these titles. So you can actually do a free preview to check them out and see whether any of them are cool. They aren't on sale yet, so if you're not a J-Novel Club member, you probably have to wait for a little bit to actually pick them up, but at least you can sample them right away. Now, to be fair, I don't cover manga too extensively on this channel in terms of news stuff. I am obviously starting to read some more manga and review and talk about it here on the channel. But J-Novel announced 7 new manga titles, and almost all of them have some tie to a light novel title. There are, I think, 1 or 2 that are actually just manga that are standalone on their own. The first one that they licensed is actually a spin-off of another popular J-Novel title, and this one is An Archdemon's Friend's Dilemma: How to Love a Crybaby Knight. So, this is Archdemon Zagan hires his unsavory friend, the sorcerer known as Purgatory Barbatos, to guard Archangel Chestiel Lickfist from the shadows. Barbatos takes to watching over the girl, which really means watching her constantly screw things up, trust people she shouldn't, and inevitably bawl her eyes out. But something about Chestiel and her waterworks may just have a special effect on the sourpuss sorcerer. Next up, they've also licensed the manga adaptation of I'll Never Set Foot in That House Again. This one, Chelsea lives at the abusive hands of her mother and younger twin sister's daily torment. But on her 12th birthday, the appraiser Glenn visits her father's barony and tells her she has a never-before-seen skill: seed creation. Desiring to study this newfound special ability, Chelsea is whisked away to the Royal Research Institute. Her life then drastically improves, from being treated worse than dirt to being presented with her own living quarters and even personal maids. But her sister Margaret isn't happy with this sudden change at all. Next up, they licensed The Conqueror from a Dying Kingdom. After a life seemingly devoid of meaning, a man reincarnates in a new world as Yuri Ho. Immersed in novel experiences and embraced by parents who shower him with unprecedented affection, his will to live grows like never before. The future that lies before him is a peaceful existence on his father's ranch, breeding and raising birds to be ridden by warriors fighting distant wars. His new home, the Shialta Kingdom, has enjoyed peace and prosperity for centuries, shielded by friendly nations that, like Shialta itself, were established following the collapse of a once great empire. It seems no threat can compromise his idyllic lifestyle. However, when the effects of a neighboring kingdom's war throw Yuri's family into crisis, he finds himself unable to stand by and watch. Then they also licensed the manga adaptation of another light novel that they publish, Hell Mode. The hardcore gamer dominates in another world with garbage balancing. Kenichi Yamada, a single 35-year-old businessman, has spent the majority of his adult life playing every MMORPG to hit the market. Tired of the constant cycle of repetitive, newbie-centric gameplay, he is immediately drawn in by the promise of a new game that, on top of being never-ending, offers up a Hell Mode, a difficulty level that makes it nigh impossible to level up, but also promises uncapped growth potential. Upon selecting the newly released Summoner class, Kenichi finds himself reborn as Alan, an infant in a serf family with nothing but his wits and old memories to guide him. Alan works diligently to level himself up, despite Hell Mode requiring vast amounts of experience between levels. In doing so, he hopes to uncover the secrets the Summoner class holds. All the while, he dedicates himself to freeing his new family from serfdom. Next up, they licensed the manga adaptation of My Daughter Left the Nest and Returned, an S-rank adventurer. Retired adventurer Belgrieve thought he was done with excitement, but his peaceful life is upended when he discovers a baby abandoned in the nearby woods. As her adoptive father, he teaches his new daughter, Angeline, everything he knows about the adventuring life, a past he had thought long forgotten after he lost his leg in battle. Angeline idolizes her father and wants to follow in his footsteps, so she leaves home for the big city. As the years pass, she ascends the ranks, eventually becoming renowned as an S-rank adventurer, the black-haired Valkyrie. But it turns out that being the best comes with its own struggles, and she can barely catch her breath between battling fiends. With everyone turning to her for rescue, can Ange get out ahead of each new disaster and finally reunite with her beloved dad? The next manga that J-Novel Club licensed, I think this one is actually like a manga, it's not like an adaptation is. This art club has a problem. Hi, my name is Usami Mizuki. I'm a second-year member of the art club at Tsukumori Junior High, and I need to vent. This club has a problem. Why the heck isn't anyone besides me taking this seriously? The club president doesn't do anything but sleep all the time. Cole-chan never even shows up. And Uchimaki-kun, don't get me started on him. All he does is draw and obsess over his 2D waifus. What is this? The manga club? Whatever. Not like I care. He's talented enough to win awards with a little effort. But don't tell him I said that though. Just how am I supposed to keep this club going? Help me! Last manga. The Frontier Lord begins with 0 subjects. Tales of Blue Dios and the Beastkin Al. After decades of war, Dios returns home as a hero and is rewarded with his own domain. When he arrives at his new lands, however, they turn out to be little more than endless grassy plains without even a single subject. Literally put out to pasture, Dios is stumped as to how to live any life other than a soldier's. But when a horned girl named Alna crosses his path, Dios takes his first steps to being the lord of a not-so-empty frontier. So much like the light novels, all of these manga, you can also check out the first chapter of them on J-Novel Club's site right now. So yeah, if you want to check any of this stuff out, you can go sample it right this second and I guess just fill out your wish list for when they're actually available. Finally, J-Novel Club's last announcement at Anime Expo. Well, sort of. They did announce something else that will be of interest to some people, but I'm going to do a separate video. I'll link that at the end of this one. But they announced that they have one of their light novels that is getting an audiobook adaptation. And that is Ascendance of a Bookworm. So a series that a lot of people really enjoy and consider like one of the better light novels out there, and of course has enjoyed several seasons of an anime adaptation that has been quite well received. I would say that this one usually hits pretty much everybody's top 10 Isekai list, and it's actually being narrated by the English voice actor for the main character Mine. So kind of interesting, actually. This seems to be more and more of a thing where they're actually hiring the voice actors. If there's been an anime and it's gotten an English dub, that they're actually hiring the voice actors of like main characters to narrate these books. So, you know, if you're into audiobooks, this could definitely be one that you want to check out. And I mean, it's a super lengthy series, so you'll have audiobooks for ages to listen with this one. So those are all the licenses and of course the audiobook adaptation that J-Novel Club announced at Anime Expo. Like literally, they have an embargo on all of this information right up until I launched this video. So the whole panel just ended maybe like half an hour ago. So all of this stuff you can go check out on their website right now. Like I said, let me know in the comments down below, which of these titles are you most excited about? If you read the light novels of the manga that they picked up the adaptation for, are you like wanting to check out the manga, or you're like, man, the light novel's good enough? Let me know. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm always curious about whether the whole like licensing manga, especially when it's been some time since they licensed the light novels, is actually like, I don't know, is it a good idea? I mean, I don't know, but I'm just curious how you guys feel about it. And like I said, they did announce something else that's kind of interesting and very different. And I'm actually going to put a link somewhere around my head here right now that you can go check that video out, because like I said, it's very different. So I wanted to make sure that it had its own video. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you maybe in my other video about what J-Novel Club talked about, and if not, hopefully in a future one. Till then, bye-bye for now.